Good day, folks, and welcome to the Anorak Review Show with your host, the Anorak. It's been a good long while since I did my half-hour long review of the debut album of one of my favorite, if not my most favorite virtual band, the Gorillaz. And I've been hoping to cover their other albums eventually, one at a time, especially with particular anniversaries of certain albums. And it seems that we may have some luck for now. But first, a little backstory. After the releases of Plastic Beach and The Fall in 2010, the future of Gorillaz seemed to be less coming on and more uncertain, especially with a general cliffhanger of the four animated members, Murdoch, Russell, 2D and Noodle, seemingly converging and eventually reuniting on the island of Plastic Beach. Long story there. Part of it could have been due to rumours of the real founding members, Blur singer Damon Albarn and comic artist and tango creator Jamie Hewlett, deciding to go their separate ways. Although in 2012 they would make a track called Do Ya Thing, featuring Andre 3000 of Outkast and James Murphy, mostly as a sort of tie-in to Converse shoes. And so for some time there seemed to be something of a hiatus for Gorillaz, leaving us to wonder if we'll ever see the misadventures of our beloved cartoon dark pop star characters continue again. And soon enough we would get that wish. In 2016, the 15th anniversary of the band, the now grown-up Noodle was made the global ambassador for Jaguar cars and racing. I'm honestly impressed about our little girl. Originally, the title of this album would have been Transformers with a Z, but it was soon changed to avoid confusion with the Transformers franchise, especially and specifically the Bayformers movies. And considering how The Last Night would be released later that same year in 2017, probably for the best. Even the Gorillaz wanted to distance themselves away from all that Bay stuff. But anyways, without further ado, let's jump into the 2017 comeback album, Humanz. Again, spelled with a Z instead of an S. Because poor literacy is cool. Especially cooler when it's the Gorillaz that do it. Plus they already have a Z in the name anyway, so they can get away with it. And the cover or covers is quite interesting to say the least. The vinyl copy I got pretty much features a close-up of the photorealistic Noodle herself, the guitarist of Gorillaz, while the back features the lead singer himself, 2D, or Stuart Pott, and inside we have Russell Hobbs and Murdoch Nichols, all seemingly done in this sort of photoshopped, photorealistic fashion. Now, the idea of making the Gorillaz look more realistic has kind of been done before, in the music videos of Stylo and Do Your Thing, but I think they were really trying to go for that really realistic feel, photorealistic, or should I say hyper-realistic, to quote creepypastas. Now, some can be put off by this sort of uncanny valley feeling they might get from it, but once you get used to it, it still looks pretty cool. And this is just a vinyl copy. The most that most people would know of, at least for probably like CDs or stream versions, it would have the pictures of all four members all stacked together, similar to the Demon Days cover. So, with all that, it's still decent artwork, and in the sleeves, you still got your good Jamie Hewlett style to them. But anyways, let's talk about the album and the music itself, and see if it still holds up after 5 years. see if it's still relevant now as it was back then. Like with Demon Days and Plastic Beach, this album too begins with an intro, lasting for about 25 seconds, called I Switched Off My Robot, or I Switched My Robot Off. Basically consisting of a simple yet sinister and anonymous voice uttering the phrase, I switched my robot off, and I know more, but retain less. And those two words of retain less kind of repeats until it kind of cuts each syllable at a time, until it's just less left. And behind all it, you could faintly hear sampled archived audio of the launching countdown of the Space Shuttle Discovery. The line could refer to how one could switch off their mechanical working and following orders like a machine or a robot. Only by then are they actually able to learn something while having less material possessions in their lives. Then it quickly builds up into the first proper song, Ascension, one of 4 singles released on the same day of 23rd of March 2017 to promote and build excitement for the Humanz album, immediately featuring the rapping voice of Vince Staples from the hip-hop trio Cutthroat Boys. This grimy track paints this almost paranoid and apocalyptic setting, especially in the chorus when Vince sings about the sky falling. Insert Chicken Little joke / reference here, as we get a little bit of background choir uttering the word of higher in the line. Partway through, we also get a little rap from David Albarn himself, or rather 2D here, first mentioning an attack on Iraq, likely calling back to his opposition to the Iraq War back during George W. Bush's time as president of the United States, and constantly saying how he's a lover, as if he's not a fighter. And again, playing into the themes of war and the fears of such. Both this song and the intro work really well together in establishing this general mood and tone for most of the album and a lot of the music to come. Next is Strobe Light, spelled with a T-E at the end instead of a G-H-T. Again, poor literacy? Kill. Featuring singer Pevin Everett, this is a funky throwback to classic disco tracks of the 70s, which may not be entirely what you expect from such a dark group like Gorillaz, but their song Dare also had a bit of a similar disco-y vibe, so there we go. With this electro-funk music reminding me a bit of Daft Punk, Pevin sings about how whenever we're driving, the night itself is dreaming, and no doubt dreaming about Tootie and Noodle dancing out to this tune at a club somewhere, while Murdoch makes a shady deal with some weird guy at the bar, and Russell just kind of lays back and sleeps like he would normally do. And punching a guy, I guess. And soon, while we're living in the strobe light, no doubt, hopefully not getting a seizure, because, you know, strobe lights and all, we'll find the life we needed. A life where COVID-19 never happened. In a way, given the strong contrast with the previous track and the overall context of the album and its thematic elements, this song could be about how sometimes we all worry too much about life, politics and all, and how we all just wish to just step back, relax, and escape reality for at least for a bit. Stop all the judging and prejudging for once, and just enjoy the music as it is. Which I'm willing to bet that some people, especially on Twitter, might not allow. Honestly, given the whole bright and optimistic vibe from this, it does feel like a track you hear later in the album, near the end maybe even. when things would start to light up and gain hope, though perhaps it's placed here as a brief beacon of peace, harmony, and blissful ignorance before the major stuff hit big time. After that is Saturns Bars. The second of the four singles, this features the auto-tuned vocals of Jamaican DJ and singer Andre Sutherland, aka Popcorn, spelled with two A's to be precise. In spite of the enhancements made to his singing, his delivery and accent do give off a bit of a clear, dubby, and dark reggae feel, which I kinda like. He, along with very staticky sounding 2D, sing about the hardships of life, complete with violence, emptiness, and loneliness, all in a futile pursuit and dream for a rich and wealthy lifestyle. Especially reflected with 2D sounding just as depressed as he has always been for the past 15 plus years prior. Loathing at himself, calling himself a heartbreaker and dancing alone tonight with holograms beside him. Likely a kind of a snap back into reality soon after the hedonism of Strobe Light. And this too works well at switching into another hard and strong contrast from the song before it. If you're not a big auto-tune kind of fan or person, I can understand if and why you may be put off by something like this. But I still think it manages to accomplish its dark and grim mood. You know, like a lot of Gorillaz songs have, come to think of it. Side 1 ends with Moments. Yeah, like with the album title itself, a lot of these songs here feature a Z instead of an S in their titles. When I get used to that, or should I say, get used to it, I'll take myself out with that one. Anyways, this track features the classic hip-hop duo De La Soul, who had previously collaborated with the Gorillaz in Feel Good Inc. from Demon Days and Superfast Jellyfish from Plastic Beach. Starting with a little keyboard riff sounding very childlike and playful, again reminiscent of something you'd hear from Plastic Beach, it lasts for about 10 seconds before it seemingly shuts down to make way for the a cappella raps of De La Soul, talking about clocks on the walls, watches on our wrists, and how we relive and achieve moments like this. Then it suddenly drops into this thick, clubby beat, and 2D recites a few colors in a very monotone and disoriented effect, and also mentioning the word dirty as well. I guess it's a new shade of color too, or skin color maybe. And after some fast-paced rapping from Nadella, we soon get another repeated line of plastic on the ceiling, presumably and maybe another callback to Plastic Beach, being sung by this high-pitched female voice, presumably Noodle herself, which, if true, would be very cool. And by the end, as the Soul Trio lay down to rest and wait for the morning hangover to come, perhaps to wake up and realize that one of them had a tooth removed and a finger cut off, and find that 2D has gone missing, they mention the Cool Clown Clan, obviously a parody of the Ku Klux Klan. Right. And the last line pretty much sums up the general feeling you'll likely get from this, needing to just step out for a breath of fresh air after the song.